if they understood what it means to work on the business as opposed to working in the business.
Okay, I'm excited to introduce our special guest, Mr. Michael Gerber. Mr. Gerber, how are you today?
Hi, Jim.
How are you?
How are you?
Well, we've been talking about your great book, The E-Myth. By the way, that book changed my life and has changed millions of people's lives. We're happy to have you on the radio today. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Why don't you tell us and tell our listeners what the E-Myth is?
Well, the E-Myth is the entrepreneurial myth. And essentially it means that people who go into business aren't really the entrepreneurs everybody believes they are, but what I've come to call technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. In other words, they created a job for themselves. And because they've created a job for themselves, they miss the significant opportunity that entrepreneurs see, feel, do, and transform the world with, which is to create a business that is bigger than I am, a business that has scalability, a business that isn't dependent upon the owner, but dependent upon the system that the owner entrepreneur invented to enable that business to expand exponentially.
So, Mr. Gerber, you're talking about something that like Ray Kroc did with McDonald's.
Absolutely.
There's a great example. He left a legacy behind, and he makes more money now than he did when he was alive.
Isn't that extraordinary? The most successful small business in the world is McDonald's.
Yes, no longer small, but you're right, absolutely right. And he had a system, and he replicated that system, and you cook the fries at a certain temperature, and you clean the floors a certain way. People get to know the consistency of that product and service, and he's been able to sell it, and sell it, and sell it.
Absolutely, and that's the genius of the entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur is focused on two very, very significant deliverables. One is transformation. That is, the business they create can grow to an enterprise because it is focused on transforming the lives of the people they do business with, they do business on behalf of, and the people who they employ. And secondly, it's scalable, meaning you can replicate it. So McDonald's is the perfect turnkey small business system. And because he started it that way, getting the system right, better than anybody had ever gotten it before, the operating system of the company called McDonald's, he was able to replicate that tens upon tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of times by teaching people how to use the system to produce the same result.
And Mr. Gerber, what McDonald's is selling is the number one selling hamburger in the world. But it's not necessarily the best tasting hamburger, and that's what's important. It's a business system, a business model that's been replicated over and over again, and it is continuously refined, and it works great.
Well, and the absolutely true part about that is that while what you said, it's not the best hamburger I've ever eaten, it certainly is exactly the best hamburger that the customer walks in for at that particular time because they can absolutely depend upon it being exactly what they remember it being the first time they bought it. And it's that memory that's instituted into the system and the memory that's instituted into the operating capability of the people that they employ that enables them to continually deliver identically the same experience again and again and again. Get that experience right the first time in the franchise prototype, and now you understand the difference between what an entrepreneur does and what a technician suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure does. And I believe you guys, where are you, in Houston?
We're in Houston, Texas.
Yep, and I'll guarantee you, if you guys were just to leave the studio and go out on the street, walk into every small business within sight of your eyes, you will find exactly the opposite of what Ray Kroc learned how to do. You'll find people working for a living, the owner of the business working for a living, and there is no potential for growing it to the degree that business could be grown if they understood what it means to work on the business as opposed to working in the business. And that's the work we've been doing for over 35 years. I've created, in fact, of late, a new degree, an entrepreneurial degree, that will be in institutions around the world. It's called the Masters of Business Design. An entrepreneur becomes a master of business design, and the minute you capture that, you understand the difference between working on your company as opposed to working in your company. Master of Business Design designs a business that works, designs the business operating system that effectively then serves as the prototype for massive expansion. And I'm essentially saying is, you were talking about passion earlier and what you love to do. If, in fact, you were to design a business that could deliver a very predictable result that is transformational to the people who buy what it is that business sells, then you understand the power of entrepreneurial invention, or Imagineering, as Walt Disney calls it. So working on it means going to work at the outset by designing the finished product. And the finished product for an entrepreneur is the business model. And the business model must be designed to generate leads, convert those leads, and fulfill the promises that you made to your customer every single time in exactly the same way. And when you can do that, you can now scale that because you can replicate that experience in the hands of ordinary people consistently. And that's a skill that the greatest entrepreneurs in the world possess, and that's the skill that we've been teaching at E-Myth, that I've been teaching in the Dreaming Room, that my books have been teaching for the past 35 years, and it's extraordinary to see the impact of that.
Mr. Gerber, so many small business owners go into business because they don't want to work for the man anymore, the boss. So let's take a mechanic who's working for Frank's Garage, and Joe the mechanic decides to start his own mechanic service. If he's a good mechanic, is he necessarily a good business owner, and what tools is he going to need to be successful?
Well, it's a very, very important point. Joe, in this metaphor, is a technician. He's a master technician, or not, meaning he fixes cars. He might be a software technician. He might be a graphic design technician. He might be a organizer. That is, he loves to organize things, and so he starts a business to become a professional organizer. And the first thing he does, obviously, is to try to get a customer so that he can begin to organize that customer's life. But Joe's doing it, busy. No, being a great technician does not create a great business. You may know everything about fixing cars, but you don't know anything about inventing a business that fixes cars. So Joe needs to learn those entrepreneurial skills that are absolutely essential for inventing a new business.
Mr. Gerber, we need to take a quick break. We're going to hold you over on the break, and we'll be right back on Bring On Success. Stay tuned. Back live from the Checker Pro Studios in Houston, Texas. You're tuned to Bring On Success. I'm Jim Klauck, and on the phone with us, Mr. Michael Gerber from the E-Myth. Mr. Gerber.
Hello.
Let's finish up where we left off. We were talking about Joe, the technician. And we were talking about Joe left his job and decided he wanted to start his own business. As a technician, does he have all the tools he needs to be one of those few successful businesses?
And the answer is no, he doesn't. And because he doesn't, he's either going to learn them on the job or he's not going to learn them on the job. And primarily what happens to Joe and all the Joes in Houston, Texas, and all the Joes in every community, everywhere I've been throughout the world, are simply, as I've said, doing it, busy, and they're not going anywhere. They're not truly coming to the realization that they need to awaken the entrepreneur within them. Just owning something you call a business doesn't mean you really own a business, because most people own a job, and it's the worst job in the world because they're working for a lunatic. So they're absolutely not getting what they can positively get once they learn the art and science of business development. It's that simple. They got to go to school. Now, they got to go to school in a very, very simple way, and that's why I designed my companies to support entrepreneurship and the development entrepreneurial understanding so that anyone can learn how to do this correctly. That's the point about it. Jim, anybody can learn how to do this, and anybody who is interested in doing this, can afford to do this. And that's the beauty of what we've done, working with over 70,000 business clients in 145 countries over the past 35 years. I will guarantee anybody in Houston who is determined to improve their lot has all they need to begin to do that if they're committed to learn how to do that, and we can teach them.
That's what we talk about on our radio program all the time, Mr. Gerber. Let me give out your website, inthedreamingroom.com.
Yep.
www.inthedreamingroom.com. We also have a link from our website at bringonsuccess.com to order the E-Myth. If you are listening out there and you're an entrepreneur or plan on being one or a small business owner, you must read this book. I was at a networking event this morning, told people that we were going to be interviewing Michael Gerber on the radio, and I asked people if they had read the E-Myth, and people said that is the Bible for entrepreneurs.
No, I know. And it's terrible. I'm the author of that book, and here I'm saying it. It's the most successful small business book ever written. It is continually on the bestseller lists. It's a New York Times bestseller list. It's a Washington Post bestseller list. It's on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. Bestseller, and it's into its, I think, 97th printing now. Sold over 3 million copies since it came out in 1986. And the only reason I'm saying that is because there is no secret. It's that simple. Once you get the point in the E-Myth of why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it, there is something to do about it. I want to ask one last thing of you. Will you guys give me a favor?
Absolutely.
I just want to announce a very, very, very special event that I'm leading that's coming up in San Diego, California, actually Carlsbad, California. And it's my first intensive dreaming room called Masters of Business Design. And that is open to only 10 people. And what they get when they come there as one of those 10 people is my intensive relationship with them to break them out of the box of where they are and to open up the field of opportunity in a way they have never experienced before. And then I work with them for the next 6 months at no additional cost in a 2-hour meeting every month to help them to build their dream, their vision, their purpose, and their mission. For anybody who's tired of being a victim, who's tired of believing that the answer's on Wall Street, who's tired of believing that this is the worst economy in the world, who's tired of believing that credit is all dried up, who's tired of believing all the shibboleths that we've heard and we're told, and everybody is living their life by, shuddering that this has got to be the worst time in the world for just about anything everybody can think about. They got to come and play this game with me because their lives will change.
You're absolutely correct. To have a mentor, Michael Gerber, what a value.
First of all, we have to understand, a franchise like McDonald's is one thing. A franchise like 97% of all the others is another thing. McDonald's is a business format franchise. A business format franchise is a business operating system, and that business operating system acts in identically the same way every single time. So there has rarely, if ever, been a McDonald's franchise store which has failed. Rarely. In all the years that McDonald's has been with you and I, they don't fail. They keep on surviving and thriving and growing throughout the world. They opened up almost 600 new McDonald's in China last year. So what's everybody's problem? The independent business is not a system. It's a person-dependent business as opposed to a systems-dependent business. And what I'm trying to say to your audience, to anybody who's listening in, who's entrepreneurial by inclination or truly owns a business and wishes to transform their business, you got to go to work on that little sucker to build an operating system that can produce a consistent result again and again and again, and you will immediately understand how great business format franchises have been built.
Mr. Gerber, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. I want to give out your phone number again.
Michael, please, so the next time we do that, we're not strangers.
Okay, Michael, give out your phone number again and that offer.
607-522-7912. Call our office today. Let's put it in the box. Let's get it started. Let's make this truly a new year, but a new life.
Michael Gerber, we appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for calling into the program.
My delight. Take care. Bye-bye.